Queen Camilla has been judged, praised, and misunderstood in equal measure. But what if someone who knows her best decided to speak up? Princess Anne offers a unique perspective, and what she reveals about Camilla might just change everything you thought you knew. Anne's perspective on her relationship with Diana, Princess Anne and Princess Diana, two royal figures, two very different personalities, and one incredibly complex relationship. For years, speculation ran wild about whether these two iconic women were friends, foes, or merely distant family members bound by the crown. Anne's recent candid comments have turned the spotlight on their connection, revealing a relationship far more layered than we ever imagined. What really went on between the no-nonsense Princess Anne and the radiant yet vulnerable Diana? Anne has always been known for her pragmatic, straightforward approach to life. Unlike Diana, who often wore her heart on her sleeve and rarely let the public glimpse her emotions. This difference in demeanor was one of the key factors shaping their relationship. In her recent statements, Anne admitted that her connection with Diana was anything but simple. It wasn't a relationship of deep camaraderie, she acknowledged, but it also wasn't one of constant tension, as many seem to believe. From the outside, it might have seemed like Anne and Diana were polar opposites, where Diana was emotional and expressive, Anne was reserved and blunt. Diana connected with people through vulnerability, while Anne, ever the stoic royal, preferred a hands-off, due-to-first approach. Yet, despite their differences, Anne revealed there was an undercurrent of mutual respect between them, quiet acknowledgement of the struggles they both faced as women in the public eye and members of the world's most scrutinized family. The foundation of their bond lay in shared challenges, though their ways of handling these challenges couldn't have been more different. Anne has long been praised for her ability to maintain a level-headed focus on her royal duties, steering clear of tabloids and drama. Diana, on the other hand, found herself ensnared by a media machine that both adored and tormented her. Despite this contrast, Anne recognized the weight Diana carried. We were both under immense pressure, though in very different ways, Anne noted. That kind of pressure changes you, it shapes your relationships and the way you handle them. But if they shared the burden of royal expectations, why didn't they grow closer? The answer, according to Anne, lies in the emotional and familial barriers surrounding them. The royal family's notoriously stiff and formal environment made it difficult for genuine bonds to form, even between in-laws. There's a certain distance built into these relationships, Anne admitted. It's not personal, it's the way things have always been done. This emotional distance was compounded by the structure of the royal household. Diana, coming from a more open and emotional background, often struggled with rigid protocols and unspoken rules. Anne, on the other hand, thrived within those confines. This difference created an invisible wall between the two women, one that neither of them seemed entirely able or willing to breach. Yet, even amidst these barriers, there were moments when Anne and Diana connected. Anne shared that in rare unguarded instances, Diana would let down her public persona and speak openly about her struggles. It wasn't something that happened often, but when it did, it was very real, Anne said. You could see the weight she was carrying. Anne's ability to see through Diana's public image of grace and perfection gave her a unique understanding of the late princess. While tabloids painted Diana as either a saint or a victim, Anne saw her as a woman trying to navigate an impossible situation. She wasn't just a princess in turmoil, Anne reflected. She was someone searching for her place, her identity in a world that doesn't allow much room for individuality. However, these glimpses of vulnerability were fleeting. Anne admitted that her own reserved nature and Diana's emotional walls often kept them from forging a deeper bond. We understood each other's struggles to an extent, but we weren't the type to sit down and pour our hearts out, Anne said. That just wasn't how either of us operated. One of the most poignant revelations from Anne's remarks was her acknowledgement of the opportunities they missed to support each other. "Looking back, I do wish I had done more," she confessed. It's easy to see now where I could have reached out, but at the time it didn't feel as straightforward." This regret is perhaps one of the most human aspects of Anne's reflections. Despite her stoicism, Anne couldn't ignore the pain Diana endured, pain that, in hindsight, she wished she had addressed more directly. "You think there will always be more time to fix things, to say what needs to be said," Anne shared. But that's not always the case. Anne also touched on how the media's portrayal of her relationship with Diana complicated matters. Tabloids often depicted Anne as cold and indifferent to Diana's struggles, painting a picture of animosity that Anne insists was far from the truth. "The media fed into the idea that we were rivals or that I didn't care," Anne said. "That was never the case, but it became part of the narrative and there was no changing it." Despite these challenges, Anne emphasized that her respect for Diana never wavered. She admired Diana's ability to connect with people on a personal level, even as she struggled with her own insecurities. Diana had a way of making people feel seen and heard, Anne said. That's something very few people can do, especially in the position she was in. Anne also recognized the courage it took for Diana to push back against the rigid norms of royal life. While Anne herself chose to work within the system, she respected Diana's determination to carve her own path, even when it came at great personal cost. "We handled things differently," Anne acknowledged, "but that doesn't mean I didn't admire her strength." In the end, Anne's reflections on her relationship with Diana paint a picture of two women navigating an incredibly complex dynamic. Their connection was neither entirely warm nor entirely cold. It was shaped by the unique pressures and expectations of royal life, as well as their contrasting personalities. Anne's candid remarks give us a rare and deeply human glimpse into the often misunderstood bond between her and Diana. They remind us that behind the royal titles and public personas, these were two women facing extraordinary challenges, sometimes together, sometimes apart. The royal family's inner workings have often been shrouded in secrecy, but recently we've been offered a much-needed dose of reality. Princess Anne's willingness to break free from the traditional royal mold and share her honest thoughts on Diana's life struggles and legacy has left an indelible mark on the way we perceive the royals. A family once viewed as a symbol of flawless grace and control is in reality a family of individuals who have faced their own personal battles, much like the rest of us. Is this the beginning of a new chapter for the royal family? One where the lines between public persona and private life blur? Only time will tell. For now, Princess Anne's rare and candid remarks have reshaped the conversation around the royal family, one honest word at a time. When Princess Anne spoke candidly about the marriage between Princess Diana and Prince Charles, it stunned the world. For decades, the royal family has been tightly guarded, protecting their private lives behind carefully curated images. Anne's comments, however, peeled back the layers of a highly scrutinized relationship, offering a fresh perspective on what really went on behind the palace walls. What if the truth about their marriage wasn't just about infidelity and tragedy? What if there was far more at play than we ever knew? The public narrative surrounding Diana and Charles's marriage has always been dramatic, fueled by tabloid headlines and media speculation. We've all heard the story, a fairy tale wedding that quickly soured, a prince who was unfaithful, and a princess who struggled to cope with royal life. The scandal of Charles's relationship with Camilla Parker Bowles, Diana's battle with mental health, and the overwhelming pressures of royal duty were all seen as the key factors leading to their split. But Princess Anne, who was closer to both of them than most, suggested that the picture we've been given is far too simplistic. Did the media get it all wrong? Anne's viewpoint challenges the long-standing narrative of victimhood and infidelity. It's easy to point fingers and blame Charles for the collapse of the marriage. After all, the affair with Camilla was highly publicized, and Diana became the media darling, the fragile victim caught in a loveless marriage. However, Anne, ever the straight shooter, brought a more balanced view to the table. According to her, the problems in Diana and Charles's marriage went far deeper than personal betrayal. Could it be that both Diana and Charles were trapped in a system that demanded too much from them, leading to a toxic and unmanageable situation? For Anne, the royal family's expectations were suffocating. As the heir to the throne, Charles was under immense pressure to uphold the monarchy's image. He wasn't just a man struggling with his personal emotions, he was carrying the weight of an institution that required him to play a role far beyond what anyone could truly understand. Diana, on the other hand, was expected to be the perfect royal wife, a flawless mother, and an emblem of grace. But the truth, as Anne sees it, was that the marriage was doomed from the start. Imagine being in a relationship where the expectations placed on you by the world are so overwhelming that you can't even be yourself. That's the kind of pressure Diana and Charles were under. Anne emphasized that the media often oversimplified their struggles, focusing on the affair and Diana's emotional pain. But for Anne, there was so much more to the story. The marriage was a complex web of expectations, unspoken needs, and constant scrutiny. Anne wasn't excusing Charles's infidelity, but she believed that it wasn't the only factor contributing to the breakdown of their relationship. What if their separation wasn't just about one person's fault, but rather a systemic issue that no one could control? Anne's comments have forced the public to reconsider the way they view the royal family's personal dynamics. We've been fed a story of Diana's pain and Charles's betrayal, but Anne's perspective reveals that the situation was far more layered. Instead of seeing Diana as merely a victim and Charles as a villain, Anne challenges us to look at the broader context of their struggles, a marriage not just filled with personal pain, but one also shaped by the immense responsibilities of royalty. What if the real story wasn't about infidelity, but about two people desperately trying to live up to expectations far beyond their control? And there you have it, a rare glimpse into the side of Queen Camilla that few ever talk about. What do you think of Princess Anne's perspective? Does it change how you see Camilla and her role in the royal family? Let us know your thoughts in the comments. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel for more insights like this, and hit the notification bell so you don't miss what's coming next. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.